We're joined by Congressman Cliff Stearns. He's represented Florida's 6th Congressional District in North Central Florida for the past 22 years. Representative Stearns is the chairman of the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Welcome to Newsmax, sir.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm glad to be on board.
You're going to issue subpoenas to the White House. Please tell us why and what you're looking for.
Well, we had done an investigation on Solyndra, which is a loan guarantee program out of the Department of Energy. And this was the poster child, the first one they did. And both the president and the vice president indicated they thought this would be the way for America to transition out of fossil fuel into alternative energy. So they touted this one a great deal. Well, it turns out this one went bankrupt, and also the FBI raided it 2 days after the bankruptcy. And we started investigating this, and we found that there were a lot of emails, disturbingly, between the White House and a lot of the wealthy donors who invested in both Obama when he was running for president, but also in some of these loan guarantee investments, and they had access to the White House. So we thought, well, let's look at all the emails. So we subpoenaed back in July the Office of Management and Budget, their communications with DOE, where the loan is actually given out. And then we found some disturbing trends, and so now we issued a subpoena today. We voted on it, it passed. All the Democrats voted against it, just like they voted against the July 15th subpoena. And as it turns out, I think there's lots of concern, I think, from taxpayers because they're going to lose all this money. It's over $500 million. And if this is a poster child, we just saw another one of these loan guarantee companies go bankrupt over the weekend. And of course, I think the president now realizes this whole loan guarantee program has been mismanaged and possibly billions of dollars could be lost further.
Why do you think all the Democrats voted against it? Is there something they're trying to hide?
Well, it's interesting because when we did the first subpoena, they said it was a witch hunt, field expedition of no value. They were all against it. But as it turned out, they now realize that their vote was wrong and they should have supported it because we found lots of information. And particularly, we found out that the administration and Department of Energy subordinated taxpayers' loan money to 2 hedge funds controlled by some investors of the Obama campaign. So the question would be is why do you want to hide that? Because actually under the Energy Policy Act of 2005, that's against the law. So the administration, Department of Energy, I think broke the law. And so we have lots of questions. So I'm surprised the Democrats wouldn't support this. I think their feeling was that the Department of Energy had cooperated finally, and OMB cooperated finally, and they said the White House will comply finally, but you know, I think they don't understand the meaning of slow walk.
Did Energy Secretary Steven Chu break the law?
I think he's going to testify on November 17th. We'll put him under oath and ask him to explain how he could justify subordinating taxpayers' loan, which to me is against the law. In fact, it's not my words, Ashley. The chief financial officer of the Treasury Department, his name is Berner, indicated in 28 years he's never seen taxpayers subordinated to outside commercial interests.
Was now defunct Solyndra a solar panel company run by Obama's political campaign contributors?
Well, what we see is a lot of the loan guarantees, the people who invest in them are these people, wealthy donors or people that bundle. In fact, Steven Spinner, who worked in the Department of Energy, was pushing Solyndra, and at the same time his wife was the counsel for Solyndra during their operation, and they received $2.5 million from the Solyndra company to pay to the law firm of his wife, who was the counsel. So those are kind of things that are disturbing, and we're trying to understand how high it went up and what was the impact, particularly in light of the fact that 2 years ago, the Department of Energy indicated, they prophesized that Solyndra would go bankrupt in September 2011. So you have that prophecy come true, and yet the administration kept pushing this. Why were they pushing this?
Is there an element of cronyism here, perhaps?
Well, that's, you know, overtly it would appear that there's too much, shall we say, everybody getting involved because they're all friends, and this, the influence from people outside the administration is what we're worried about. And that's what I think taxpayers have got to be concerned. Do all these loan guarantees follow this similar prototype of Solyndra? And if it's so, then we've got a very disturbing thing on our hand. In fact, I think the president now realizes that the whole loan guarantee program is at risk because he appointed a man named Herb Allison to head up a commission to look at all the loan guarantees. So you can see the president now is backtracking and thinking that, hey, we better look at this before the campaign starts next year.
Taxpayers took a $500 million loss in this debacle. Do we have any idea where that money went?
No, we don't. In fact, these two hedge funds now have first priority to whatever's left over. So I think it's very upsetting to think that taxpayers will not get us anything back. Maybe in a bankruptcy you get 20 cents on the dollar or 10 cents or 5 cents. But right now, it's not clear we're going to get anything. And I think the FBI raid 2 days afterwards shows that there's some criminality, or at least they're looking at where all the money went.
Were there warnings that the Solyndra business model would never work? And if so, why was that loan rushed out the door anyway?
Those are questions we'd like to ask the White House, and we'd like to get to communications, because all the flags from the Department of Energy showed that this was not going to work. And this goes to the larger question. What you're really asking is, if the United States is going to manufacture solar panels and wind turbines, can we compete when China is, one, subsidizing both these industries over $30 billion a year? They have access to raw materials, but more importantly, they have access to very cheap labor. And including the communist government buys the land, gives it to them free. And of course, we have a lot of regulations through the Environmental Protection Agency over here on our products that we manufacture. So is that the best model for us to compete, or would we be better off to find something in nanotechnology, dealing with NASA, aerospace technology, where we really have trump in terms of technology like Apple and so forth, and software and computers, and let the R&D money be spent through the government, through universities and Scandia Labs in New Mexico, and then take that competitive advantage and then give it to the private sector and let them compete, not at taxpayers' money, but let them compete in the free market.
Obama seemed to excuse this fiasco last month when he declared that some companies will fail. Now, considering taxpayers lost $500 million on the Solyndra failure, does that seem a bit insensitive on Obama's part?
I would think so. You know, I think the background of the president is such that he doesn't quite understand what $500 million is. Of course, we had SunPower was given $1.2 billion, and of course they used most of the money to manufacture solar panels in Mexico. I mean, I could just go through the list. There's about 35 companies in the 1705 and 1703 loan guarantee program through the Department of Energy. And each one of them is questionable how many jobs they're going to develop here in the United States, which was the original mission of the president. So when he says we're going to win some, lose some, I think he now realizes that was a mistake, because now he's asking his new commissioner to look at all the loan guarantees, because he's worried now it's become a political issue.
All right, as you mentioned, Representative, Energy Secretary Steven Chu is going to testify before your committee in a few days. What specifically will you be looking for? What are you going to ask him?
Well, we'll try to ask him, Mr. Secretary, in light of all the red flags on Solyndra, why did you go ahead with it? And what was your communication from the White House? Was it political pressure? Was it pressure from the Chief of Staff at the White House? And he'll be under oath, so the question is, why would a man who has such a distinguished scientific background continue to push something at the expense of wisdom? And that would be one of the first questions. And then, of course, the second question is why he okayed the subordination of taxpayers' money when clearly we don't think it was legal for him to do that. And I guess the third question is, what does he feel about the rest of the loan guarantees, and what is he doing with due diligence to be sure that the taxpayers don't lose any more money, because out of the 3 initial loan guarantees, 2 of them are now in bankruptcy.
Florida U.S. Representative Cliff Stearns, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.